What's up, Met fans? Welcome back. Talking Mets and Rob. How's everybody doing? Before I get started talking about the Phillies and the Mets and the series preview, don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you're enjoying my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos and when I go live, hit on that subscribe button, everybody. All right, guys. So the New York Mets versus the Philadelphia Phillies, the biggest series of the year for not only our New York Mets, but the Philadelphia Phillies. So what are the keys to the Mets winning this series? There's a lot of them. We're going to go right into it in a little bit, but we're going to talk about exactly what this series means for both teams. Not only do we have Marcus Stroman on the mound for the New York Mets, but the Phillies do have the newly acquired Kyle Gibson. This is a very good pitching matchup for the beginning of this series. We got Marcus Stroman with a 2.8 ERA and a Kyle Gibson with a 2.89 ERA. They're very solid. Obviously, the Phillies knew they needed some more pitching. They got Kyle Gibson. Besides Jacob deGrom, when he's healthy, Marcus Stroman has been the best starter on this Mets team so far this year. He has struggled a tad bit since the All-Star break, but he has been our most consistent starter. Marcus Stroman needs to go deep in this game tonight. He needs to have a Cincinnati Reds game where he pitch 8 innings, 1 or 2 hits, give up a run, not much more than that. The New York Mets not only need Stroman to do that, but my God, can the New York Mets actually score some damn runs at Citizens Bank Park? That is exactly what this team needs. They need a breakout series. Not just a game, a breakout series. And that's exactly what this New York Mets team needs. Not only do they need Marcus Stroman to pitch the game of his life, but they also need to score runs. The New York Mets left 23, let me say that again, 23 men on base in the Marlins series. 23. Absolute joke. That cannot happen. Leaving 15 men on base in the last game is an absolute joke. This team needs to get it together. This team, with the injuries to the Braves and the Phillies in squirrel, the New York Mets should easily be ahead in this division. They should have no problems. They should get everybody healthy. That's what this team should have been looking at right now. But the New York Mets, in their last 10, are 3-7, as the Phillies are 6-4. The New York Mets, since the All-Star break, are 9-12 in the last 21 games after the All-Star break. That is not winning baseball. That is not a team that you would think would be a first-place team. The New York Mets are the worst first-place team in baseball. Definitely in the National League. That has to change. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Baez, Alonso. Can Conforto finally wake up? We need those guys to step up big time in this series. Citizens Bank Park is a bandbox. The New York Mets should score runs, and I believe they will. I think Stroman needs to get it together. I think Stroman needs to have the best game he pitched all year. And I mean better than Cincinnati, if that's even possible. The 8 innings, 1 hit, let me see another one of those. Because the Phillies offense is hot right now. Not only do they have good starting pitching going in this series, their offense has been clicking. The Mets offense has not. The Mets pitching has not been great as well. We're going to get a little bit into the series, a little bit more about the other pitching matchups. Obviously, for Game 2, we have Tyler McGill against Ranger Suarez. That is exactly a pitching matchup that I think the Mets have favor in. I do think that Tyler McGill is going to bounce back from his other performance that he had. And I do think he can be very dominant against this Phillies team. I don't know why I have that feeling, but I also do have that feeling that Tyler McGill is the perfect pitcher against the Phillies. The Phillies have not seen him. And with the demeanor that Tyler McGill has, I do think he can go 6 innings, maybe 7 if he's pitching really well. If he can keep his pitch count down, as we haven't seen him do throughout his tenure with the Mets so far. But I think Tyler McGill against Ranger Suarez, I do think the Mets have advantage in Game 2. So that's why I think Game 1 is extremely important for the New York Mets and Marcus Stroman. Not only do the offense has to get going, but Stroman has to pitch well as too. I think the key to this series is the New York Mets winning Game 1. Because I think if they lose Game 2, there's going to be a ton of pressure put on Tyler McGill and the New York Mets offense to get Game 2. Because if you do not get Game 2, the New York Mets will lose that series. Easy math. But Tyler McGill, Suarez, the Mets have the pitching matchup, in my opinion. Ranger Suarez was the Phillies closer, but they made him into a starter. The Mets do have to take advantage of that. The reason why Game 1 is so important in this Mets versus Phillies series is because the New York Mets have to make Kyle Gibson work. They have to get him out of the game early. And the reason why I say that is because Ranger Suarez has a 60-pitch limit for Game 2. So what does that tell you? The Philadelphia Phillies are going to have a bullpen game. And with that bullpen game, they have to use their bullpen a lot. That's why I think it's key for the Mets offense. Even though I want them to be aggressive, they still have to be patient and make Kyle Gibson work in Game 1. So the Phillies do have to use their big guys in the bullpen to get Game 1 and get them in there early. So Game 2, it's advantage Mets. Because Suarez is going to have 60 pitches. That might be only 3 innings. Maybe 4 at the most. But the Mets have to work Kyle Gibson in Game 1. So the Phillies have to use their bullpen as much as possible for Game 1. So they have to struggle in Game 2 to find bullpen pieces to get to 9 innings. That's why Game 1 is so important. Because Ranger Suarez, if this is breaking news to you, only on a 60 pitch limit for Game 2. So advantage Mets in Game 2. When it comes to Game 3, that's when the Mets are going to have the biggest problem. Because obviously we have Taijuan Walker on the mound in Game 3 against our former Met, Zach Wheeler. Obviously, the Phillies have the advantage pitching-wise. But if the New York Mets can take Game 1 and 2, I'm not too concerned about Game 3. I would love to see a big bounce-back performance from Taijuan Walker because he's been absolutely terrible after the All-Star break. Absolutely terrible. Over a 15 ERA is not going to cut it when you were one of the best pitchers in baseball in the first half. We need first half Walker in this series, in this game, in Game 3. Not only is he going to pitch against the dominance of Zach Wheeler, but if the Mets do take Game 2, you know the Phillies are going to do the best they can and go all out to try to win Game 3 of the series. That's why Game 1 is very important for Stroman to not only save the bullpen, but have a dominant pitching performance and slow down that Phillies offense. But the New York Mets have to work Kyle Gibson in Game 1. They have to get into this bullpen in Game 1. So Game 2 is even harder for the Phillies, working around 60 pitch limit from Ranger Suarez to get that bullpen in early. So that means if Wheeler cannot go long in this game, in Game 3, you actually take care of the entire Phillies bullpen and put that pressure on the Phillies. The New York Mets, for the most part, have not faced pressure like this all year. They've been facing pressure over the last 10 games because they've been struggling offensively and pitching hasn't been as great. The Phillies had no pressure. They were under 500 for so long that they were just winning games in the last 10, 6-4. We're looking better offensively. Actually came back in a couple of games against the Nationals in their last series. The Mets have all the pressure in this series. I don't think the Phillies have any. So the New York Mets better come out swinging in Game 1. You don't have to be ultra aggressive in Game 1. But you do have to be somewhat patient to get Kyle Gibson out of this game as early as possible to make the Phillies use their bullpen, so it's even harder for Game 2. That is the biggest thing that the Mets have to do. Work their way into the Phillies bullpen, especially in Game 1, because it will be harder for Game 2 to be mapped out the way the Phillies want it and take advantage of that bullpen game that they have in Game 2. With Suarez with the 60-pitch limit, the Mets have the advantage in Game 2 because it is possible that the Phillies have to use their bullpen so much that they have to rely heavily on Wheeler to go deep in Game 3. And the New York Mets need to take advantage of that in Game 1 and 2. The Mets, when it comes to pitching, for Game 1, I think it's completely even in Game 1 with Stroman and Gibson. Game 2, the Mets have the advantage technically because Ranger Suarez has a 60-pitch limit. Who knows with Taijuan Walker? He can just blow up, and it'll be a bullpen game for the Mets too. So I will give the edge slightly to the New York Mets in the pitching for Game 2. But in Game 3, it's all Phillies for Game 3 with Zach Wheeler against Taijuan Walker. I do think the Mets can win this series. I feel like they're going to bounce back in a big way for this, for the fans and for the season. I think they're going to finally take on that pressure and get it going. I have no evidence otherwise, but I do have that feeling that the Mets are going to come back, and I do think two guys are going to have big performances. Javier Baez and Michael Conforto are going to have big series for the New York Mets. I do worry about Bryce Harper, and I do worry about JT Realmuto. So watch out for those two key guys for the Phillies, but I do expect Michael Conforto and Javier Baez to have big series offensively. So my prediction, the Mets will win 2 out of 3. I think they will win Game 1 and 2. I think they will struggle in Game 3. I think the Mets will take the series 2 out of 3. Game 1, Game 2 goes to the Mets. Game 3 goes to the Phillies. That is my take on the season preview against the Mets versus Phillies. Let me know what you guys think at the bottom. Leave those comments. Let me know what they think, guys. What you think. Who do you think is going to win this series? Met fans, Philly fans, let's go. This is the biggest series of the year. NL East Showdown. Guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you enjoy my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos, and when I go live, hit on that subscribe button, everybody. Guys, NL East Showdown, biggest series of the year for the Mets and the Phillies. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, Met fans, let's go Mets.